Hey guys, welcome to my channel, welcome to my stream, welcome to another chapter, working on this guy right here. And before I get to say it, Merry Christmas to everyone. Yes, streaming live on Christmas Day, building this guy. That's what I'm doing. I'll run the intro and we'll get started. Okay guys, we're back. We're back with what might be, I'm kind of feeling like this might be the final episode on this build. Finally. Finally, yes. Yeah. Last episode, obviously, I took like a good almost week to paint this thing and get him all the colors that he is now. I got a piece of tape on here just to protect this one little fin. Every time I set it down on its top, this fin wants to bend right over. So I just balled up a piece of tape and taped it on the top so I can safely put it down like this and it's not going to do anything. I spent a good, I spent a good 3 or 4 hours painting the engines. Obviously these are a lot more detailed than what we did before. Last episode, when I pulled the tape off of this, all that sticky goo on the tape stuck to the copper that I had laid down on the engines. And to get rid of that, I just used some, what do they call it? Like adhesive remover. Some stuff they use usually in automotive applications. When you remove decals off of cars and stuff like that, you get that goo on there. And this stuff will take that goo off. It eats that glue, but it doesn't do anything to the paint. So I figured that works on automotive stuff, so I'll try it on here on this, and hopefully it doesn't eat the paint. And it didn't. Although it did take the copper right off. It left my black primer underneath untouched. So I was happy about that. So then I just remasked and then went to work painting our engines. There's what the bottom looks like now. It's all going to look a little bit different once we get some panel lining on there and stuff like that. I'm kind of debating still doing a little bit of smoke on here just to dullen up these really shiny silver parts. I also spent a bunch of time doing the actual nozzles. A lot of time spent. The nozzles, I didn't film it all because a lot of it is just masking, paint, doing that, getting all these things different colors. So there's this one, our one little cone's going to go on here like this, okay, and then the nozzle's going to go on like that, and that's basically the nozzle, looking like that. Very colorful, lots of variations. Yeah, I got some blues and purples and everything in there. I'll change the camera so we can get a bigger look at it here. There we go. Yeah, lots of variations in the colors. All kinds of stuff going on there. And then of course going on the inside. Yeah, that's what we got going on with these. Okay. And of course I got 2 of them. I just don't have it assembled. There's the other one. Other pieces there. Yeah. So, although I didn't film it, I will go over what I used. I didn't film it, but I'll show you guys. Basically, AK Extreme Metal Copper, that was the base. Well, the base was primer, but did that. I used AK's Metallic Blue. For the purple, I used their Metallic Purple. I did a little bit of burnt metal on there, just on mostly on our little fins. Did a little bit of burnt metal over the copper there to dull it down a little bit, and to give it a bit of a saturated look so that it's not all super bright. Because you do these all pure, you can see these are pretty bright colors. It was really bright, but realistically, it's really kind of desaturated. It's not a lot of color to it. So to do that, I used their jet exhaust and sprayed that kind of over top of it just to dull it down a little bit and to tone it down. And so yeah, that's my final result. Is it 100% accurate? I would say no. And is it as detailed as I could have done? Also no. Because there's a couple of little things, like I went to the point of cutting up tiny little rectangles to go all the way around these. These are actually some kind of, I don't know, warning decals or safety decals that they put on these things or something like that. And so you see those in pictures, but it's actually text. There's some kind of text on those things. When you really zoom in on this, you get a good picture of them. You can really see those. That's like a safety warning or something like that. They also have them on these, on this section. So this goes like this, right? They also have it on these sections. I think right in here on these ones. I didn't want to bother because it's just a little too small, a little too much. They also have some kind of little stripe that goes through here on these black parts. Yeah, it's just becoming way too much for me to bother with when I'm not entering this in any kind of contest or any kind of a show or anything like that. So yeah, this is good enough. Anyway, that all being said, we got to get back to putting this bird together and finishing her off, right? It's been long enough. It's been long enough. So we'll start by putting our fins back on. I'll change the camera again so we can do this here. So once again, we're going to put our fins back on. I took them off just so that when I was removing the tape from the engines, and it wasn't going to be too much stress on them. So just like before, we got to go almost 90 degrees here to get those pins to line up, and then they go in like that. As you kind of rotate it up, you kind of go whoop, and it slides in there. Okay, there's one. We'll do this guy now. Again, almost 90 degrees, just like that, to get those pins to line up in that hole. See, like this. I'll point this up here. Okay, see, like that. You practically got to go 90 degrees to get them to line up, and then just kind of rotate it to get it to go in. Just like that. Okay, now I gotta get some glue. It's been a while since I used glue. I'll glue it from underneath. Sounds like we're going to have a very windy Christmas day outside there. There we go. Okay, so there's our fins finally glued in. They've been waiting a long time to be glued in. Okay, those are done. Now I'm going to have to actually refer back to our book because it's been so long since. There's our fins and all that. We've got all this done. We did all this a long time ago, right? We did our stinger tip. I'm calling it the stinger. Got our flaps on. Okay, so we can do our vertical stabilizers. Let's just do this. Step number 12, we can put our stabilizers on. We can actually glue our engines together. This is going to be the final step. We're finally gluing our engines together after so long waiting. So that's going to go like this. So I could put some glue along the ridge there, and that will glue in nicely. So I'll use my thicker glue. Again, I'm not gluing this. Remember this part? This part just kind of snaps on here, right? A long time ago. Boom. And I did put some grease on there just to keep it kind of movable. Hey, Silk8. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you. Okay, so let's put some glue on our ridges here. I'll come back and add a little bit to the edge later. I'll put this guy on. There is a little notch where it will eventually line up and lock in. There we go. And that's done. Okay. Now, this guy glues onto this part there. So we don't want to get any glue on the edge. We don't want to actually glue it like this. We want it to glue only to this part, right? Because this part needs to be movable. Okay? So don't slather a whole bunch of glue on there, right? Just enough is really all you need. So I'm going to kind of go down and try and get glue just not towards this edge, but more towards the middle here. Kind of like that. All the way around. Okay. Kind of rotate it so we get it nicely done. Not a heck of a lot of contact. Not as much contact as I would like. And now actually, as I'm looking at this, it's actually stopping at the ridge there, so I can add more glue to it without worry. And I won't have to worry about it. There we go. Okay, there's one engine glued together. Okay, so we'll set that aside. And we'll do the same with this one. Okay, again, you gotta find that notch right there. I want to try and get that lined up. Keep that like that. So I know it's about there. At the end of the day, when I've got this all put together, I want this to be movable and not break apart on me when I go and try and move the nozzle, right? So that's that one. Let's see if I can straighten this out a little bit here. There we go. Okay, let's get this guy. Alright, this guy a little rotate as it gets around there to help that glue. This one doesn't really make a lot of contact at all. So I'm actually going to take my thinner glue and go around this edge here. If I can open it up here. Just kind of get on that edge. Okay, and we'll try and make sure that's going to stay on there forever. Okay. Now we can install them. So I don't think there's any specific spot. We'll see. Oh, there is. It does line up. There's a notch. It does get notched in there. It won't really fit and all of a sudden goes like that. So, I want to see what notches we're talking about here. I believe it's this slot going into that there. There is only one slot. But it does only go if it's one way, and that's it. Okay. So I can consider slathering a bunch of glue on there. I'm not sure just exactly how much contact we're getting on these ridges inside, but I imagine we're getting something. This guy straight up and down. There we go. And that's it. I want to add some thin in there on our edge. For added security. Okay. Oh, careful. Pressing too hard on this. I gotta pull this apart now. Here. Maybe letting this glue cure would be a better idea, wouldn't it? Let's give this a few minutes to dry. I'm getting a little excited here with my assembly, and I'm getting a little too rough on it. So let's just calm down and let that sit, and we'll move on to something else. Okay, we'll move on to something else. Okay, that's the engines. We can do our tail fins here. Tail fins are all painted, as you guys saw, so they are lefts and rights, and I have done that little bit of a trim so that we can get these lined up nicely on the edge here. Mac McDougall found the same problem. Yeah, and so I'll just do that, line that up right there on the edge, and that's where her home is going to be. You don't, because I've got that, your two halves have that piece, that tab, but I've trimmed one of them off, right, so that I've got a little bit of play in here, so I can adjust this as I need, right, to get that nice and flush on the outside there. That's the whole point of that. A little bit of glue on there. On this side. And on the bottom. Set her down, lined up. There we go. Looks nice. Good. I'll do the same thing with the other one. This guy here. He's going to go like this. Just like that. I will check in a minute. Make sure they're both straight up and down. Sorry if I'm doing that off camera. Okay. I'm actually going to turn this around. Just have a quick look to see. Yep, they're straight up and down. All right. That's those. Now, don't touch it. We gotta let that sit for a little while. Let those cure, and that would be it. Other than our stabilizers, whatever you want to call them, tail fins, whatever. We'll put those on in a minute. I want to let that cure for a minute before I do that. Let's move on. Landing gear. Now, we've already assembled all the landing gear on this. Right, this has already been completely assembled. We got it all. I've got all my landing gear sitting here on the side. So we can grab some bits and get prepared to install it. Now, of course, I just touched my wing, and so it's not straight anymore. This guy doesn't want to sit straight. Sit straight up and down, dude. This guy wants to flop around. Look at that. He's a flopper. We got a flopper here. So let's grab some of this stuff. And let's see if we can convince him to stay. These things probably should have been my last step because of how cumbersome these now become. These now become a bit of an issue, especially a big issue trying to flip it over and put the landing gear on. So, yeah. So because I've put these on, now I can't really flip this thing over for probably a good 10 minutes or so. So screw this. Off you go. Off you go. Done. We'll deal with them later. I'll get them out of my way. Yeah. Flip it over. I want to put the landing gear on. I spent so much time on the landing gear and I can't put it on. Well, screw that. I'm putting it on now. Okay. Front landing gear. We need our main bay door. That's this guy here. And we need our main gear, which is this guy here. Okay. And we need a couple other pieces. I need C83 and C18. Now there's not much left on my C tree. This is basically, I've got two little spots. This is my C tree now. Now remember, C was like one of the biggest sprues. So I need 18. This guy here, he's silver, already pre-painted. Okay, that's him. And I need C83, which is this piece here. All right, that guy right there. Now, we're going to take C18 and he's going to get glued to the bay door. C83 goes down inside here. And then our main piece goes on there. Okay, so let's start with our little piece here. This guy, if he was closed, he's going to go here. Remember, I stuck this on here when I was doing all that painting. But he actually gets mounted on here. A little slot there is going to line him up, and it's going to go like that. Like that. Okay. So, let's do that first. A little bit of glue on this little nub here. Just like that. Okay, so that's that guy. Let that dry for a minute. We have this door is supposed to go like this. One thing it looks like it's going to go in these two little slots here and here. Now, which way is it supposed to go? It's got kind of a pin right here that's supposed to face down this way. So it goes this way and gets lined up right there, like that. So I'll just hold that with my fingers while I get this glue right in there and in there. There we go. Okay, we'll let that dry. Now this little guy, he's got a definite tab. It looks like he's supposed to slot in on the side somewhere. Let's see if I can tell in the instructions here. Looks like he's supposed to go underneath the little ball, this little yellow ball thing, underneath that. See if there's a little slot. I don't see a slot in there. Maybe at the very, very bottom. Looks like there's a hole right there at the very bottom of this. Right down in there. That could be where he's supposed to go. Yep, that's where he goes, just like that. And I think it might, if I put him in like that and then try to see, he's really actually touching the top here. That might be difficult to put the door in if he's already there. That's one challenge with this kit I've noticed, is the order of operations is kind of, you kind of got to figure it out. Yeah, it's going to be a little too hard, so I'm going to have to put him on after I put the door in. So let's get him out of here. And the other question is, do I put the door in first before the landing gear? Or do I put the landing gear in after? I would say put the landing gear in first. Our little arches don't really want to go in. These are supposed to slide down in there, but they're hitting. There we go. The angle of them doesn't want this to go down. Kind of stuck a little bit. Just the way that this is angled. And the pin that they've got for the back is pretty long. I'm going to have to, I think I'm actually going to have to bend it. I'm actually going to have to bend this just a little bit. I don't normally do something like this, but I need to bend this guy just to get our angles right. I think that tiny little bit of bending is probably all I need. I'm going to put some glue on them. Shove them back in there. Yeah, that's better. Now he's in. There we go. I still have to put our lenses on there. I think I have them sitting over here somewhere. Yeah, they're right here. I gotta put my lenses, my headlights on. That should be easy enough. Let's drag them over here. Okay. Our 3 little lenses got to go on there. So let's just do this. See if I get away with this. There's one. Two. Okay, and 3. It is unfortunate that the lenses are a little bit foggy in comparison to the actual chrome, so they're not as nice. That's what they look like now. That actually looked a little bit better before I put them on there, but they're there now. They're there. They're there. It's okay. All right, our door. Where'd my door go? Where did my door go? This definitely is not going to be the final episode, guys, because I'm not done and shit like this happens. Okay, let's start with this side of the landing gear. We're going to put our main gear on, which is going to be this one here. He's going to go in right there like this, just like that. And I got to grab C41, and he's going to be an anchor that anchors him over there. C41. It's going to be one of these, right? 38, 39. No, not these. One of these. Yeah, 41. Okay, and 41 goes onto the bottom here, and then this side goes over onto this piece. So it's going to go onto this guy, kind of looks a little weird because this let's pull him out. They show it going to this piece here. This is way... Oh no, I know what they're talking about. This goes like that. It goes all the way back to here. Like that. It's going to go in like this. All the way back to this piece. Okay. And they actually have it backwards, in my opinion. Maybe not. This has to go on this side of it. It's got to go like this. So we've got to glue it to that first. Then put the piece in. Hopefully in all these little endeavors here, my landing bay door will appear. Okay, so he goes on here like this. Just gonna hold him for a sec. Okay. Then the piece is actually too long. The hole that they have it go into, it doesn't line up. The piece is way too long for that. Does that mean the door, I've got the wrong... If I were to flip it around this way, I don't think that's actually right, and then make this one. No. They're both the same length. The piece is just too long. They've just made it too long to fit into the hole that it's supposed to go to. As we slot it in, you can see it's supposed to go into this hole right there, but it's way back here. So I don't know why. Actually, I'm totally wrong. This is supposed to go underneath, inside. It's not supposed to go in that hole at all. Let's pull this back out. He's supposed to just go back in here. Like that. So he gets tucked in underneath. That's why reading the instructions is important. Just making sure that's all going to stay. All right. All right, so we've got this C93, that's already on there. That was put on there a long time ago prior to painting. So we've got our two bay doors and our two struts that need to go in. So we'll go with our rear one first. That is A8, which is going to be this guy here. Okay. And then C37 gets mated up to him. 37 is this strut here. Okay, you. Now, where does C-37 get lined up? He goes all the way to just in front of this little door here. And then on this piece, I actually got the wrong door. This piece here. He's gonna go get locked in right on that spot there. It almost looks like it's straight, it goes like that. So I'll put a little dab of glue on him first. So that he can kind of sit in his home until we get all of our adjustments done. Okay. You're supposed to stay in your spot there, dude. And then we'll kind of line up our little tabs. Like this. You know it's kind of going to sit like that. He is going to go down into his little hole here. Like so. And then we'll get some more glue. Ought to be enough to hold that in place and get our door in and call that one done. All right. So we've got another one to do. The other one is A10. Let's just do a test. Is this A10? I believe so. That's A10 right there. Okay. A10. And then we need C39. This guy here. Okay, here we go. This is going to be similar. C39 is going to go into this little notch here, and and then line up right there. So do the same thing. That I did with the other one. It looks like it's just going to kind of lay like this. Looks like this door is going to be practically lying way open like this. So I'll put some glue on the tip of that. Even just looking at the angle that this sits at, like this. It's a pretty crazy angle that it sits at. I'm going to have to hold it for a minute. Just put my finger there. Does hold pretty good, and the fit is really nice on this one. It fit perfectly in its spots where it's supposed to be, and yeah, no issues at all. So that's how that sits. I'll just kind of show you on the angles how that's gonna how that's gonna sit in there. Okay, just like that. So you can see how this strut goes all the way down in there. There's a little hole in the ceiling to do that for you. Okay. So there's one rear landing gear put in. So let's take a look at the other side now. They do show you how it's all supposed to sit and how they lay out in this picture here. And then we go over to this side, and it looks like we're basically doing the exact same thing just on this side. So it's all the same. So I'll get my little strut here. That's it for that piece. Now that I already know where this is supposed to go and how it goes in, that does make life a little bit easier. Hey. Okay, he's in. Add a little extra here. I actually don't have my wheel lined up. There we go, that's in now. Interestingly enough, I think this piece here is, I don't have this lined up. We had to put this on a long time ago. I don't have this lined up properly. My wheel is not sitting in the little slot it's supposed to be. You can see that in there? The part of the wheel is supposed to sit in this little slot, kind of like this one is, right? It's hard to get the angle right on the camera so you can actually see. But there's a little notch that the wheel's supposed to sit in. This little piece here is supposed to fit in that slot, and it does not on this one, and I can tell this is not lined up in the same exact spot as this one. So I screwed up when I put this one on, which, you know, it would have been nice if they had actually put like some kind of a guide pin or something like that to line this up, but they never did, and so you're just up to your own imagination kind of thing, and that's what's happened with this. And so my wheel doesn't line up properly on this one. Hindsight being 2020, had I known that was such a critical thing, I would have tried to do a little bit better job. But so be it. It's the way it is. Anyway, we've got this door we got to put on, and with that door we need to have C36, which is this smaller one. C36. I might as well take the other one off of here now too, because I already know I'm going to need that in a minute. Okay. That leaves one last little piece on this sprue, and that's for the cockpit. That's that. This sprue is done. Okay. So, same as the other side. It goes under that little notch there. Practically laying down. Just kind of hold it like this for a second. Let that glue kind of do its thing for a minute before I start really working on it. I actually have it facing the wrong way. It goes like this. Okay. Line this up on our tabs. Like that. doesn't really want to fit in his little hole here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so that's in. Next, we have our last one. This guy here. I realized on this one I didn't really clean up our nubs. I painted them, but I didn't really do anything after. So I really should, once the glue's all cured, I really should touch up the paint on the tip of that and on the tips of this. But we'll worry about that later. That's easy enough just to touch it up later. Okay, so same deal. We gotta have, this guy's gonna go in like this, and we've got the little spot there for our little strut. To go in, he's gonna go in like this. Glue on that tip there. Kinda line them up like that. Trying to hold it straight up and down so that it stays in its spot, at least for the minute while the glue kind of starts to do its thing. And we'll hold it there while I'm doing this, so that, just so that when, as soon as I turn it, that it doesn't fall down. It kind of sits where it's supposed to. I'm trying to use gravity to my advantage here. While I try and get this lined up. Here we go. Glue them in there. You get a little extra glue. So do you. And there we go. Okay, and that's that side done. Just like that. Now, if I could just find my other bay door, I could install that. I don't know what happened to that, but I'm just gonna have to hold off until I find it. Because it literally has disappeared on me, and I don't know where it went. I'll find it eventually. I'll find it. Okay, let's do these guys. These simply just pop in, so they're going to be nice and simple, right? They just take your peg and shove it in the hole right there, like this, right? Like that. Nice and simple. Now the thing that's going to be difficult is, see, they're supposed to be flexible, right? But they sit pretty firm right there, so I'm not sure why I didn't these are supposed to rotate a lot more than that. And the other thing is, if I put my tail fin on, which one here? If I put this on here, I should, yeah, okay. Yeah, it should be okay. It actually helps stabilize it, so that'll be good. That's what I should have done in the first place, eh? I should have put my fins on first. Get in your hole. There we go. This one's pretty tight too. So you only get a little bit of movement on it. So it's a little disappointing. There should be more. But it's because of this bottom piece here. This lines up, and so you can't go anywhere with it. Anyway, that's that. Which means I can now glue my tail fins on and not worry about all this stuff underneath. And yeah. Okay. And with our landing gear already glued in, I should be able to put her down on her wheels. Yep. Okay. So, let's re-glue our tail fins. Actually, before the tail fins, let's get our engines back on. These should be cured enough now. See, I can rotate these. That's beautiful. So let's glue our engines back in. Okay. This lined up. It's a little bit difficult with her tail fin on there now, but she's in. I'm gonna have to put a little pressure on it. There we go. Okay, one engine in. I've seen on some videos, or at least in Matt McDougall's, with his plane, it was tail heavy, and he had to add some weight to the nose to get it to sit properly on the landing gear. So because of that, I'm kind of anticipating it. This one will not go with the tail fin on. There we go. Okay, engines are in. Engines are in. I've got a feeling that it's going to sit on her tail when I put her wings on. Yep, definitely. Now we're back heavy now. But that's okay. She just barely sits perfect like this without the tail fins on there. But as soon as I put them on there, put that on there and let go, boom. Yeah. That's okay though. I have a plan. I have a plan to fix all that. There's one tail fin, or one wing. This one was the floppy one, but I think that's going to be fixed with this thing acting kind of as a guide. If I can get it on there. Let's turn it around. I think with the engine pushing out on this, it's not lining up anymore. Get that lined up there. There we go. It kind of pushes it out a little bit. And so, there we go. But yeah, that helps stabilize it so it stays straight up and down. Just like that. Yeah. We're looking a lot more complete now. Although now she's going to sit like this. That, my friends, is where I'm going to leave it for today. I'm going to let this all dry, all cure, done, and I'm going to go on the hunt for my main landing gear, my front landing gear bay door. Wherever that fell or wherever I put it, I do not know. So I'm going to have to find that. And but like I said, this is where I'm going to leave it for today, guys. I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas again, and thanks for all the support and the new subscribers. Speaking of subscribers, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, and when I get to 1,000, we'll do a collaboration with my fiance and over at her place, and we'll build a couple of Porsches together, and that should be fun and interesting with a different setup. It's going to be totally different than this because it'll be at her place. And yeah, anyway, guys, thanks again for watching. Thanks for coming out, and we'll see you all in the next one.